All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. SEC basketball transfers continue, Max, and we've got a guy who's going to be joining his third SEC team,
Yes.
as it will be Nick Pringle, who is joining the mix for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Call the Hogs in Fayetteville. Of course, he started his career at Wofford, but then wound up at Alabama a couple of years ago. Was there for a few seasons. Was at South Carolina last year. How many games Nick Pringle started for South Carolina last year, Max?
All right.
Every single one of them
Mm-hmm.
did this guy start. And that tells you about the experience level now for him. Because remember, too, he was starting for Alabama down the stretch during that Final Four run the year before. Started, I'd say, what was it, probably 10 to 15 games for them. I think the previous season during that Final Four run. So it's a guy who's continued to develop. And again, you go back to last year, we know South Carolina struggled as a whole, but Pringle was someone just doing his thing, right? And look at the numbers. I mean, it's a guy who's going to give you some contributions on the offensive end. He's going to rebound. And yeah, I mean, I think this is someone that, you fully expect to sort of be one of the main men on the front court now for the 25-26 Razorbacks.
2 for 2 now on Final Four transfers with Nelly Davis last year, Nick
Sure.
Pringle this year. Getting that, loading up on that Final Four experience. Nice little trend there. So you know how like when a mid-major plays a big school and they have a player go off in the beginning of the non-conference, you're like, oh, they're grabbing that guy. You saw Eagle staff have the big games in the non-conference, and everyone's like, oh, I wonder where he's going to play next year. This is not the case here. Obviously, Pringle being in the league for a while, Cal and the staff very familiar with him. But maybe the cherry on top, Blake, maybe the little icing on top was his best game of the year, March 1st. South Carolina says, Razorbacks, come on into town. It's March. We may not be having a good season, but come play some bully ball. Boom! Nick Pringle, 18 points, best game of the year. 9 rebounds, 2 steals against the Hogs. Blake, just to back up your point about the Final Four experience, the SEC experience, what can't you like about a pickup like this in today's era of college basketball? Getting old, staying old, the experience, the size, it's all there, Blake. It's all there.
Well, it's notable, too. Played a career high in minutes the year before in an overtime game against Arkansas. Had a double-double in that game whenever he was at Alabama. So this guy said, you know what? I'm tired of doing this to the Hogs. Let me join the Hogs. And, going to come on in. And I think really, like we said, I think the experience factor certainly plays a role. You mentioned the Final Four run. It's a guy who's been on a team that's made that kind of run, obviously has seen the opposite of that. Whereas, as we said, South Carolina struggled a bit last year. At the bottom of the SEC standings, and now gets to join, I think, back up near the top with an Arkansas team that's certainly going to have high expectations. And look, I mean, we talk about this roster as a whole, and again, we kind of know all the, fanfare that's going to be around the incoming freshman guards who are going to get, a lot of attention. When you talk about those guys that are coming in, some of the guys are going to have coming back. The freshmen last year, they're going to be sophomores. And Carter Knox, Billy Richmond. But with Pringle coming in, he is going to be someone who can sort of, help set the tone here, I think, for this Arkansas team, knowing that, Adu out, Big Z transfer, Brazil's back. But I think this is the kind of guy, you said your favorite words, bully ball. Like, he's the guy I feel like in the SEC physically, like he's the kind of guy who's going to have to set the tone for this team. And I think that's exactly the enforcer. Can we call him the enforcer, Max?
Ooh, I like that.
Everybody needs one of those, but I think this is your clear cut enforcer for the Arkansas Razorbacks next season.
I think like was the wrong word. I think I love that. Pop quiz, Blake. Pop quiz. Who had the highest free throw rate in SEC play last year? Number 1 in the league.
I'd like to answer this question. I'm going to go with Nick Pringle.
Correct. Yeah.
Ooh,
you want to talk about drawn contact, searching for contact, offensive rebounds. Ooh, let me just extend the possession and then pick up a foul on the opposing big. Sign me up. My name's Nick Pringle. That's what I do. Okay. You're going to have a big now that, like you said, enforcer, but like physically taking it to the other team. Adu, a little bit more in that kind of finesse mid range big. He does have some size, but Adu loves that face to the basket kind of mid range shot, loves that face in the basket mid range game. Nick Pringle, his 2-point percentage did drop a little bit with the higher volume offense. It wasn't just pure lobs, offensive rebound, putbacks. Played a little bit more through him, and CMB down low did South Carolina. But number one free throw rate in SEC play last year. That's what happens when you are in every single rebounding battle that happens. That ball hits the rim, you guarantee Nick Pringle is going to be some way in the mix trying to get that rebound.
Yeah, and I think too, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, right? Like this is obviously something where we talk about Pringle, but we know when you're looking at Arkansas's roster right now, and we always try to do this, we try to figure out, okay, what's his
Right.
exact role going to be? And we joke about the enforcer thing, but I think it's true. He will be someone that's kind of expected to set the tone in the front court, especially knowing the kind of play that you're going to see around the rim in the SEC, especially when you get into conference play and all that. But that's where what does the rest of this roster look like moving forward? Because again, we feel like we've got a pretty clear idea of, sort of the top part of the rotation. But as we know, Max, there's still a name out there that Arkansas fans have been discussing a lot this past little bit. And if you were to get him in the mix, then all of a sudden, like this is like step one, I feel like, in adding a guy like Pringle that has the experience in the SEC. He's been around, as we said, Final Four team. He's seen everything in the SEC. But now it's a matter of, all right, it's not just what can he do from his skill set, but if you pair him with someone else that's going to bring a very valuable skill set to this team potentially, then you're talking, all right, hey, the expectations are getting higher and higher, which they're already high for this team, as we said, given the star-studded backcourt, but also the returners that you fully expect to take a big step forward. Yeah, then we're talking real high excitement for the Arkansas fans.
So Blake, what I'm hearing is if you pair Nick Pringle with maybe a big that has those traits that he's lacking, maybe a little bit of that offensive post game, that consistent low post scoring game, maybe like kind of like what happened this past year at South Carolina, where you would have South Carolina win this in the league, maybe a 12 to 13 point underdog. And you would have Colin Murray Boyles and Nick Pringle just crushing the opposing front courts, just crushing them. Maybe there's a big man from Florida State that could potentially, I don't know who said that, could potentially pair real well with Nick Pringle alongside already a veteran in Brazil. You've got the international, if you want to call him a transfer, recruit, however it may be, fitting in right behind Brazil at that 4 spot. And you already have Carter Knox, 6'6", 6'7", plenty physical. Blake, you're just looking at kind of the 3-4-5 rotation that this roster can put out. One of the most physical bunches in the group, let alone bringing off Billy the Kid Richmond off the bench as well. Physicality-wise, this is going to be one of the toughest teams to play, just in terms of they got some dogs.
Yeah, they do. And I think, again, like the teams that were, interested in him, there were multiple SEC teams, obviously, that were looking to see if they could get involved with Pringle. But it does make sense. I think we always talk about fit. Like, I just feel like this is one that fits really well for him. Because, again, he has seen kind of the extreme, right, of going from maybe just the success and those kind of things. And I feel like this was certainly a need for Arkansas. We knew that would be the case. And, yeah, that's what I like most here. I just like the skill set paired with what a team needs. Like that's the name of the game in the transfer portal. Like go get the kind of guy you need at a certain position. And knowing what they had to replace with some of the guys in the front court, like he brings a different skill set than you had with those guys last year. And I think it's going to be kind of, exciting to see how he now fares with this new group, which is, as we said, you talk about the freshmen coming in, you talk about Knox and Richmond returning. There's a nucleus that's pretty, young still. Like that's still a young nucleus. And so I think having a veteran like this is it's significant for the Hogs. And like we said, if they can pick up another potential key addition. It's only going to help, I think, raise their stock even higher.
Okay, ready? 25%, 47%. Ready? Okay, 25%, 47%, 55%. We're going up, folks. Okay, follow along here. 65%. Okay, 25, 47, 55, 65. Those are the percentages Nick Pringle shot from the free throw line over his career. Yeah, you heard that right. 25% as a freshman, 47% as a sophomore, then to 55, 65.5 last year. That is a gradual improvement you can count on, that you can project. I'm getting so fired up over Nick Pringle already. This is a guy you can count on day in, day out. You know exactly what you're going to get out of Nick Pringle, and that is a luxury a lot of teams do not have right now.
Well, I know a team that did not mind getting to the free throw line last year. And if that's the case again this season, then we'll see how it plays out for the Hogs. But all right, there you go, guys. Our thoughts on Nick Pringle. Again, he's someone, if you're an SEC fan, you've seen this guy a bit over the last little while. And now, as we said, finally, Arkansas fans, you can see him on your team. Think he's going to make a big impact there in Fayetteville. But more thoughts to come on the SEC basketball transfers. We've already talked about some guys all around the league. Check those out. More to come looking ahead at next season. Early thoughts on these rosters, projecting ahead. Where could these teams rank nationally in the SEC? All that other stuff. It'll be coming soon here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Turn on your notifications. Thanks as always for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Southeastern 16.